Maverick Mania, Chapter 6, page 32. Can a parent do that? I asked at the table during our evening meal. I had just explained to Mom what had happened to Caleb. I mean, it was like Mr. Riggins thought he owned Caleb. If anyone else had dragged Caleb away like that, it would have looked like kidnapping. Dad pushed his food, some kind of casserole, around on his plate. Because my folks both work, Mom insists that Leontine and I each make dinner once a week. It was Leontine's turn to torture us, and everyone, including Mom, was too afraid to ask about what we were eating. Well, Dad said, it did look unfair, but there might be a lot you don't know about the situation. I think it's wrong to judge. For all you know, Caleb lied to you about why he was grounded, and it looked to me like Caleb had disobeyed by going to the soccer game. He wore old sweats to hide his uniform and rode to the field on his bike instead of getting a lift. You know his dad always drives him to games. But legally, can't Caleb do something? I mushed my food, trying to make it into smaller pieces that I could hide under a piece of bread. I hoped the phone would ring and Leontine would answer it, and that would give me a chance to dump my dinner back into the casserole dish. How can they stop him from playing soccer? He's not 18, Dad said. I believe the law would still consider him a minor and under his parents' care. I know there's something mysterious about all of this, Mom said. Do you like the casserole? Leontine asked me. It's an interesting flavor, I said. Interesting is a good, non-specific word. The casserole was horrible, in an interesting way. Is that a new streak of green in your hair? All it takes to distract Leontine is to get her talking about her hair or her clothes. Oh, yes, Leontine said. Me and my friends had nothing to do today, so my friends and I, Dad corrected her. What you do is take away my friends and see whether I or me works by itself. You wouldn't say me had nothing to do today. You would say I had nothing to do today. Then add your friends to the sentence, and it comes out my friends and I. Listen, Mom said from her end of the table, I really did find out something that makes this a mystery. She says that a lot. Last month, she was convinced that one of our neighbors, old Mr. Cardson, was a Nazi war criminal. The embarrassing part was when he caught her stealing his garbage to look for letters from other Nazi war criminals. Dad rubbed his bald head with both hands. He tells us he does it because the stubble itches where he's shaved his scalp. But Leontine and I have noticed he only does it when he doesn't want Mom to see him smirk at another one of her crazy ideas. Yes, dear, Dad asked mildly. On my way to work today, Mom said, I drove past the Rigginses' house. I took down their license plate numbers and got some of my police friends to check them out. I spent the rest of the day asking questions and learning everything I could. Dad began to rub his scalp harder. Yes, dear, he said again. Mom was so excited about her detective work, she didn't notice his lack of enthusiasm. First of all, she said, the Rigginses moved here about 13 years ago when Caleb was only 3. Dad whistled. Lock them up. Mom frowned at him. He smiled sweetly, like a little boy caught with his hand in the cookie jar. You were saying, he said. The thing is, there's a weird gap in their credit record. It's like they stopped living for the year before they moved to Lake Havasu City. How do you explain that? Then, when they resurfaced, they had a lot more money. Must be part of the mafia, Dad said. I bet he used to own half the mob in New York. He moved here to get away from them and lives under an assumed name. Mom looked at him with a thoughtful expression. I was just joking, Dad said quickly. Maybe he inherited a fortune or won a lottery. There could be a dozen explanations. Uh-huh. I'd like you to do me a favor. Do you have keys to the school, right? Dad nodded. He looked like he had heartburn, but I knew he hadn't touched any of the casserole, so it must have been from Mom's need to find a mystery in everything. Check the school files, Mom told him. Caleb is a year ahead of Teague. Matt, I said. Please, it's Matt. I live in dread of the day she'll call me Teague in front of my friends. Caleb is a year ahead of Matt in school, Mom told Dad. Surely there's something in the grade school records about Caleb. Dad finally sighed. I'm not sure it's right to do that. It's not public information, and... There's one thing I didn't tell you, Mom said. Her voice became quiet. There's a police file on Charlie Riggins, and it makes me really sad. We waited. Twice the police were called to his house for a domestic disturbance. What? Dad said. His wife never pressed charges, but he hit her, Mom answered. And a man who will hit his wife might also hit his son.